If the multiverse is real, and there's an infinite number of worlds, all in which there's an infinite version of ourselves that has made every single possible choice in existence, does that mean that everything we do is meaningless and we're all just making decisions based on nothing with no real value, and we're all just slowly gonna fade away as the universe rolls over us? Anyway, Doctor Strange is pretty fun. I had a pretty good time with this one. I avoided pretty much all spoilers and trailers, so I wasn't really expecting much, and it turned out to be a pretty fun MCU movie. This wasn't the big multiversal event that a lot of people are expecting, but we'll get more into that later. The movie definitely has a lot of issues, and we'll also go over those too. I feel like I repeat myself a lot with these videos. Let's dreamwalk right into this one. First off, I want to talk about the point that I said earlier, which is that this movie is not the multiversal event we were expecting, where every single Marvel cameo and property shows up. There's no Tobey Maguire, no Deadpool, and definitely not you. This movie doesn't actually have a lot of multiverse in it. We get an Illuminati cameo, 2 Doctor Strange cameos, and that's it. This has disappointed a lot of people as they thought we were going to get an endgame sized event, but I wasn't really expecting that. We're still in the very early parts of phase 4. We're not going to get that giant event until like 4 or 5 years later, maybe even longer. I'm assuming that the title of the film is what got people excited, and I'll admit, Multiverse of Madness does kind of seem like you're going to include everything. I think people just need to relax and wait for what Marvel gives us, because I think a lot of people forget that Infinity War had a pretty long build-up. Okay, let's talk about the actual movie now. I gotta appreciate Sam Raimi's directing on this one. It is just so fun and wacky. I've seen a lot of people say that they hated it, and I just don't have the right way to express how wrong they are. These are probably just movie casuals who are used to boring-ass camera A and B shots who have probably never heard of the term auteur. Raimi takes the camera in this film and just goes nuts with it. This movie is very much at Raimi's image and has all of his crazy and wacky stuff that you would expect, like insane camera movement, extreme close-ups, and goofy lines of dialogue. The film also takes a horror element, which I think was done okay. The best parts that emphasize this was when Wanda was just being intimidating, like when she gets in that one sorcerer's head. The movie definitely pays off in the suspense category. There's a lot of scenes where there's no audio playing and it just makes you feel really uneasy. That's the type of horror that I like, not cheap-ass jump scares, which, yeah, there are a couple of those in this film, but it didn't get too annoying. Speaking of Wanda, she is by far the best part of the movie for me. I've also seen a lot of people saying that Wanda turning evil was the wrong choice and it ruined her character arc from WandaVision, and I heavily disagree. Because Wanda should have stayed a villain at the end of WandaVision. The fact that she takes an entire town hostage, brainwashes them, and then leaves was not the right move from that show. I mean, the entire climax of that show was kind of a mess, but that's one issue. So I don't see Wanda turning evil again in this movie as a bad change from WandaVision. I see it as that's what it should have been from the start, because Wanda as a villain just feels so right. Obviously her heel turn doesn't feel natural as WandaVision tried to redeem her, but I think it was done very well here. The Scarlet Witch was terrifying and badass. I love the fact that she destroys the Illuminati, killing off the best cameo sequences from the MCU. I'm kind of torn on whether I want her to come back or not after the ending of that movie. On one hand, I do want to see more of her character since they've done a pretty good job of writing her so far. But on the other hand, I think her self-sacrifice is the right way for that character to die off, so to bring her back would just feel kind of cheap. I'll just wait and see. I loved Wanda in this film, and I'm glad her being the main villain was hidden from the trailers. As for the problems with this movie, and there are quite a bit, the biggest one for me is pacing. This movie is pretty quick, and that in itself causes a lot of issues. This leads to a lot of character moments being lost from the film, and seeing how the main dynamic is supposed to be Strange and America Chavez trying to trust each other, we don't see a lot of moments between them. I mean, the movie goes so fast that we see Chavez's backstory in a conveniently placed exposition box where her memories are shown on TV. I mean, what the hell is that? The film is just so plot driven that it leaves Doctor Strange, our main character, to not have that many character moments. Wanda clearly has the emotional segments of this film, but I just wish there was a way so that both of our main characters could have that, because it was kind of nice to see a very natural progression for Doctor Strange as a character, spanning all of his main movie appearances. It would have been nice to see more of him in his own movie, but instead we just get the bare minimum for what it takes to have a character arc. Oh, and going back to America Chavez, I don't really like her that much. She's really important to the plot, but again, her character just isn't there. She doesn't have a lot of memorable traits, and she doesn't have that great of a dynamic with Strange. This was kind of funny to me because this reminded me that Deadpool 2 and Birds of Prey had this exact same problem. All three movies have a child character that is really important to the plot, and our main character has to create a bond with them, but the movie fails at writing it. This was just kind of weird to me. Oh, and the actress for America Chavez just wasn't that good to me. I can tell she's trying, but the performance we got just felt pretty bland. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse by saying this too, but CGI just isn't there. It's not the worst CGI, and I think this is definitely an improvement from what we've been getting in the MCU as of late, but some of the effects still look really cheap. Hopefully the later projects look better. Oh, Jesus Christ, what is that? So yeah, this is a pretty fun Marvel movie that gives us just a taste of what the multiverse is about. I wasn't expecting a big multiversal war like everyone else was, and I think that's fine. I'm personally glad that Marvel is taking their time of getting weird with the multiverse and showing what we like and don't like. Marvel's been pretty good at building up stuff that awards us for our time and investment, so I'll just wait and see what they give us in the end. Doctor Strange 2 gets a 7 out of 10 for me.